want to say yes and sales go through when you have good salesmen who understand the ethics of sales and the process of sales. In order to teach that, it's best when you've done it yourself. So if you haven't done door-to-door sales yet, you don't have to spend an entire season doing it, but you need to spend at least enough time doing it that you put on some sales yourself.
How can you draw from an empty well? I mean, there's no better training than to just go out and do it, because you're not going to experience it until you do it.
Welcome to the Bug Bucks Podcast, a podcast designed to turn you into a bug money millionaire. This episode is brought to you by Bug Bucks Plus, the #1 training and education platform designed to help you build and scale your pest control company. I'm your host, Eric Bassett, and right next to me in the Vancouver Bug Bucks studio, my co-host, Jay Claus. What's up, dude?
What's up, Eric? And what's up, my Bug Bucksers? It's really nice when we actually get to sit next to each other in the studio.
The dynamic is just so good.
Yeah.
I love it.
Way better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it feels good right now, dude. Spring is upon us. The flowers are blooming. Things are great. I'm a warm weather dude, man.
Yeah.
I just feel so much better with warm weather.
Oh, yeah. And seeing like mid-April showing up, and it's really nice. So I talked about this last year, but we planted a garden.
Yes.
Last year. Actually, we didn't plant a garden. We freaking built like 3 different garden areas.
Planted a garden would be a complete understatement.
Yeah. So, there was a section of our property that was just like the natural trash dump. So like anytime we do any other kind of yard work or whatever, if there's a boulder or a stump or whatever, we would just kind of dump it in this section. And so after Jess died, we were like, we've got to build a garden, right? In honor of Jess. So we took that area, we kind of cleared out the crap, and then that's where we built the garden. And then we got a trampoline, did it over there too, plant a garden. But all winter long, we're like looking at our garden. We're like, oh my gosh, everything's dead. Like, is any of this stuff going to come back? Like, we felt really
Yep.
Because our soil's it's a real heavy clay content, And so we're thinking, oh no, our garden's not going to come back. And then a couple weeks ago, we went out and we were just kind of like slowly walking through the garden, and everything's got buds on it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
We lost one. Actually, 2 rhododendrons that we were really looking forward to. Is one last year was like this beautiful yellow, like bright yellow rhododendron. It was gorgeous. And I think we lost a hydrangea or 2. But otherwise, like, everything's starting to be green. And so we've got a very, very good friend who's like, she's a phenomenal gardener. And she told us the first year your garden sleeps, the second year your garden creeps, and the third year your garden leaps. So sleep, creep, leap. That's what they say. Cool. So this is year 2. This is creep. So we're going to start to see these plants like slowly growing. And then next year, hopefully, that garden's just going to sprout. It's awesome. And we planted clover.
Yes.
And we don't have grass. We have clover. And the clover is coming in. It's great. We pull the weeds down there the best we can. There's like a 70-acre pasture that's like right down the slope. And so all the weeds and stuff blow up onto our yard.
Oh, yeah.
So we try to keep the weeds out. But but we went out and spread some clover in the garden. And I went out there yesterday, and the little clovers have little white sprouts coming out of them. So
yeah, dude.
It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch your garden grow. It's exciting.
Yeah. Well, when this week, especially when I've been coming back from working at the office, I come into the house, and Leo, who is, if you guys are listening, Leo's now about 17 months, almost a year and a half.
Year and a half, yeah.
And Brinley's been tackling this kid all day long, and he's screaming and hollering and jumping all over the place. Dude, he has one gear. It's just go,
Yeah.
And so I'll grab him and I'll throw him on my shoulders, and we take a walk, right? And we'll do some laps around the house. And we go right through the garden.
Yeah.
And it's so cute because he'll just point and he goes, ooh. Ooh, ooh, and then he'll like chatter about something that I have no idea what he's talking about, but it's cute to walk through the garden and kind of give him that experience.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, that is fun. It's fun when Brinley and Leo come with you guys too. Man, I love seeing Leo.
It's a way better time. I know that I'm a cool guy, but they make the trip.
Yeah, when our girls, so we've got 2 girls that are almost 11 and almost 13. When they know you're coming to town, I told them last Saturday, oh yeah, Brinley and Leo are coming. They're going to be here on Sunday night. And they were like, it's not just Eric, right? And we're like, no, like Brinley. They're like, great, Leo. Yeah, Brinley and Leo are coming. Like they get so excited.
Yes.
And sometimes when it's just Eric, when it's just you coming, June's like, oh, no Brinley.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm a cool dude, but I'm not nearly as cool as when I bring Brinley and Leo with me.
No, and that's just the facts of life.
Yes.
You know? Yeah, c'est la vie. You know, you just roll with it, I guess.
100%, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have an awesome topic to get into today.
We do.
But before we do that, I just want to remind everybody listening, the best way to receive new episodes is by subscribing to our show on your preferred podcast platform like Apple, YouTube, Audible, or Spotify. If you love the show, please leave us a rating and a review. Make sure to check out our Facebook group, BugBucks Plus. That is BUGBUX Plus. We have the owners only group that has over 4,900 other pest control owners waiting to connect with you and share their thoughts. We also have the BugBucks Pest Pros group for non-owner team members designed to help them develop in their roles. Joining the groups is the best way to connect with us, share your feedback on the show, and have your questions highlighted and discussed here on the podcast. So make sure you find us on Facebook and join one of those groups. All right, dude. Speaking of the Facebook group, guess what we're going to do today?
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna. So yeah, this is a good post.
Yes.
So we're gonna talk about a post that someone put here, and I think this is actually a very, given the season. Right now, what's today? Is today the 10th?
Yeah. Today we are
the 11th. 10th.
Yeah, 10th of April.
10th of April.
Yeah, this will drop right at the beginning of May.
Right. So the timing of this episode is actually pretty good, I think, because right now we're getting into that season where it's the summer season, but in the pest control industry, for a lot of people, that means the door-to-door teams.
Yeah.
Right. So today we're going to read a post that has to do with door-to-door, and we're going to talk about it from our experience. Eric and I have a lot of experience both selling pest control door-to-door and running door teams. Yep. So we're going to talk about this from our perspective, and actually, I think this is going to be a great topic. So yeah. So our topic today comes from a post by that was put out here on the BugBucks Plus Owners Only group by an all-star contributor.
Ooh.
Yeah, Dan Christensen.
My guy Dan.
Yeah. So Dan, if you're listening and you just heard your name on the podcast, don't swerve into traffic. Just remain calm.
Oh my gosh, I'm famous.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Pull over. Listen to the podcast or whatever. Okay, so Dan's question is, for door-to-door, what are some essential things to do to solidify sales? A welcome call, what else am I missing?
Oh, such a good question.
Such a good question.
Love it.
So basically what Dan's asking is, how do I shore up my door-to-door sales?
Yeah, and if you guys have done door-to-door or anybody in the door-to-door space knows, there's always going to be a percentage of your sales that just fall off before they ever get a chance to get service. Yeah. So the fall off is a real problem. And the issue is you spend a ton of time and energy and effort getting those sales to say yes. And it's painful when they don't go through. Yeah. Super painful. Yeah. So, even if you can increase the amount of sales that go through by 20, 30%, like over the course of an entire summer, over the course of an entire company, multiple sales guys, dude, that's a huge number.
Yeah. Building your company through door-to-door sales really is a pretty awesome way to build your company, if you can do it. If you can find the guys, or if you have the budget to recruit a team, then it can be really great. Yeah. And I think there's some companies, some guys on here, guys and gals on here that have door teams. Some don't. But let's just kind of approach this kind of from start to finish.
Yes, yeah, the chronological order, which that I love. If I had a whiteboard behind me, I would be writing it out. And for you guys that are listening, I just want to touch here that we obviously preach ethical door-to-door sales. There are wrong ways to do door-to-door, and there are right ways to do door-to-door. And I love this post a lot because we're going to touch on a lot of the good things, the right ways, the ethical ways that you can get your sales to go through, that also help promote for good quality customers in the long run too.
Oh, totally. Yeah, and what we're talking about is go-through rate. We're talking about retention. Yep. And before you get to your go-through rate, you have to have your, I don't know, maybe this isn't a term, but your solid sales rate, right? And everybody knows that there's a difference between a sold sale and a service sale.
Yes.
You don't get paid for a sold sale. You get paid for a service sale,
Yep.
right? So, yeah, you know what? Let's just take it back to the beginning.
Yeah, let's go. So, you know, thing number one that I want to point out here, and we've talked about this before, if you're trying to teach your sales team on how to sell better, so we're assuming that, number one, people want to say yes and sales go through when you have good salesmen, good, honest salesmen who understand the ethics of sales and the process of sales. In order to teach that, it's best when you've done it yourself.
Right.
So if you haven't done door-to-door sales yet and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to hire a sales team and I'm going to put them out in the field and I'm going to expect them to perform, you don't have to spend an entire season doing it, but you need to spend at least enough time doing it that you've put on some sales yourself, you're confident in the process, you understand what some of these things are so that you can actually teach these to your other dudes.
Yeah, and you know, we've talked to pest control guys at companies where they say, yeah, I got a couple of guys recruited, a few guys recruited. They're first-year guys, and I've never sold pest control door-to-door, so I'm going to go out and I'm going to teach them. And I'm thinking, well, how can you draw from an empty well, you know?
Yep.
So I mean, there's no better training than to just go out and do it because you're not going to experience it until you do it. And I've had people say, oh, well, you know what? I worked customer service before, and I had sales jobs. Well, no, it ain't door to door, right?
No, man. Door to door it's a completely different beast. And I'm not saying that if you have recruited a team by now and it is your first summer that you can't pull off teaching yourself and concurrently teaching someone else.
Right.
That's just a really big uphill battle. And door to door pest control is an uphill battle already. So don't add another thing to your plate that you don't have to.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the first thing. Go out and knock doors. And here's the thing: if you own your pest control company, if you're like the owner operator and you're going out and knocking doors, it's a lot easier to make sales.
Yes.
I would just say that.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to knock on the door and say, hey, you know, my name's Jake. I actually this is my company. I own this company.
Yep.
Because most people believe in the American dream.
Yes.
And when they see that there's a dude or a lady out there that's hustling, that's putting on their own sales, it's like beating the pavement for their own company, that strikes a different kind of nerve than, you know, when your sales guy rolls up on his wheelie toy and you know he's going wheeling door to door, you know. That's a different feel.
Yep.
So if you haven't done it, then just do it.
Just go do it. You don't have to do it forever. Just go do it so you get the experience.
Go put on 100 accounts.
Yeah. That's a great milestone.
Go sell 100 accounts. By the time you sell 100 accounts, you kind of have a good idea about what you're doing.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. What's up, Bug Bucksers? Jake here. Let's talk about lost deals and wasted time. If your field team is still running on outdated software, messy spreadsheets, and endless back and forth with the office, you're leaving money on the table. That's where Pave comes in. Virtual ride-alongs and AI-powered coaching mean your reps get real-time feedback to close more deals on the spot. Gamification and leaderboards turn sales into a competition that actually drives results. And all those manual updates to CRMs? Gone. Pave keeps your team selling, upselling, and closing more jobs without extra work. If you're tired of playing catch-up, it's time to ditch the old software and start winning. Check out pave.ai and get ahead of the game.
So next up, we're kind of diving into maybe the quality of the sales training that you're getting here. And I love that in your training manual that you wrote for our sales team, you have a process. There's a flow, right, that goes with this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have you touch on that here in just a second. But I also just want to say that it's important to understand that people are reluctant. Like, they might say yes to you in the moment because there's pressure there. There should be some kind of pressure, right? A sense of urgency, a good deal, a reason to buy right now. Maybe they have ants, you know, maybe they have whatever the situation is. But as a salesman, you need to understand that people have their own perceived value in whatever you're selling, right? And if all you're doing is going off of some canned pitch that your trainer taught you or whoever taught you that says, hey, here's our service, here's how it works, this is why it benefits you, yada, 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 and then you close, you could be a really good closer and you could get a lot of people to say yes. But if they're not saying yes to the things that they see value in, and they're just saying yes to get you off their doorstep, your go-through rate will plummet.
Right.
And you're thinking, I don't get it, man. Why are all these people saying yes to me at the door, but they're not actually going through? That's because once you're gone, the urgency, the value, the reason they said yes is gone.
Yep.
Right? If you focus on what they see value in, those wants, interests, and needs that we talk about, it doesn't matter if you're gone for a day or a week. They still want what you sold because they see the connection there.
Yeah.
Right? So,
dude, you really do need a whiteboard.
I know. I let me write all this stuff down. Okay, so I'm going to pass the talking stick over to you because I think that the process that you describe in our training manual, not to give away all the trade secrets, just captures that so well. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a difference between soft sales, or I think some people call them like three-legged sales, right?
Sure.
Or one-legged sales.
One-leggers? Yeah.
One-leggers, yeah.
Yep.
I'm thinking table, right? But I guess the three-legged stool can still stand on its own.
Yeah.
So some people call them one-leggers. We just call them soft sales.
Yeah, softies.
And that's where you think that you've made the sale, but in reality, you have not made the sale. Okay.
No.
So that looks something like this. You knock on the door, the wife is home, the husband's at work.
Yep.
The wife says, "Oh my gosh, I've got ants so bad." And then you say, "Okay, we'll just sign the contract. My guy will be here tomorrow. And if your husband has any questions, here's my phone number. Have him call me."
Yep.
Right? Well, okay, so first of all, he'll never call you. Second of all, 90% of the time, the technician's going to show up. And the wife's going to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. My husband doesn't want to do this," right?
Yes.
If she's considerate enough, she might send you a text,
Yep.
you know? And then that day you're like, "Oh man, I've got 6 sales going out." Well, 5 of them are soft sales and one of them's solidified, right?
Yep.
And you're like, "Oh man, why do my sales keep canceling? Why are all these idiots?" And then, well, they're not the idiots. You're the idiot, right? Because you're selling crappy accounts. So, so the flow that I created that we have in our sales manual is simple. It's called QBEC. QBEC.
Yes.
QBEC. That's the flow. And it's real simple. So step 1, you qualify the customer. Is this someone that you can sell to? Not want to. Is this someone you can sell to?
Like, do they have the authority to actually make the decision?
Do they have the license to pull the trigger, right? Because what happens is, this is the other thing, and I've stood there on the doors with sales guys while they do the following, okay? And I let them experience it so that they know, right? Because if you stop them, okay, so anyway, they'll knock on the door. A dude will answer the door who's obviously not the homeowner, right?
Yep.
And they'll start talking to him, and then because they don't know any different, they just go through their entire pitch. And then after about 15 minutes, the guy says, "Oh, this is my mom's house. I'm just home from college." Right? That guy's not the decision maker. He's not your qualified customer, right?
Nope.
So the first question out of your mouth in your pitch is, "Hey, my name's so-and-so with such and such pest control company. Are you the boss of the house here?
Yeah, you the king of the castle.
Are you the king of the castle?
Yep.
Yep. Are you the big chief? Are you whatever, right?
Yeah. Hey, you seem like the type of person that makes the decisions here. You know,
something like
whatever.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
And so what'll happen is, if it's the dude that's just home from college, the first thing out of his mouth is, "No, man, this is my parents' house. I'm just home from college." Right there. You've just saved yourself 10 minutes of wasting your time, right?
Yep.
The other thing is that if it's a spouse and the other spouse isn't home, they'll either say, "Yes, that's me," or, "Well, we make the decisions together," or whatever. But right off the bat, is this someone that I can sell to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's your first step. Qualify the person, and then the next step, it's actually should be QBEC.
QBEC.
Right? Yeah. So there's 2 B's. Bandwagon and banter. So those are the 2 things. And the idea there is that social proofing with bandwagoning, people don't want to be the only schmuck on their street that's signing up with the pest control guy going door to door. And then the other thing is, when people see that other people are doing it, they're more likely to also want to do it. So there's 2 sides there, right? It's like I don't want to be the schmuck, and I don't want to miss out.
Yeah, FOMO.
FOMO, yeah. So in order to did you see that?
Yeah.
Is that going to show up on YouTube?
No. For you. Okay, so for you guys, we're going to take a side note for just a second, because I have to explain what just happened. So if any of you guys have ever used like Google Meets or Google Hangouts or like any other type of video conferencing software, they have built in those like little gestures. No, don't put your thumb up. You're going to do it all over again. They have all those built-in gestures where you like put a thumb up or a peace sign or like an A-OK signal, and it like does balloons or fireworks or something ridiculous. Yeah. So me and Jake are sitting in the studio, obviously recording this podcast episode, and somewhere on my computer I probably have Google Hangouts open. And so you put a thumb up or whatever, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden Jake's in this deep point about qualifying your customer, and balloons just start going up.
Balloons, yeah.
And it's almost like, well, yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
computer.
that's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, back to bandwagoning, right?
Yes.
So here's the thing about bandwagoning, and if you've ever sold anything door to door, 99% of the time, your pitch is going to include something like this. Just want to let you know, we're servicing Mrs. Johnson next door, right? Or whatever, okay? And they're either going to believe it or they're going to say, "Oh yeah, who?"
Yeah, right.
And if you stand there with a deer in the headlights look because you don't actually, there's not a Mrs. Johnson, then you're going to sound like an idiot, and all of a sudden you've lost all credibility.
Yes.
And there it goes, right? So if you're selling door to door, you probably have some kind of a program connected to your field routes or something. Or maybe it is sales routes, or maybe it's Pave, or maybe it's whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever you've got, right? Maybe it's Rep Card, whatever you're using. So little drop, drop for our sponsored vendors, Pave and Rep Card. So on those apps or program softwares, it's going to show you current or existing customers in the neighborhood. So the very first thing that you want to do every day, but when you get into the neighborhood that you're going to be selling in, before you knock your first door and claim that you're servicing Mrs. Johnson down the street, what you want to do is look at the existing customers that are in your neighborhood and go knock on 3 of their doors.
Yep.
Because you can tap on the pin. We used to call them Skittles, right? So you tap on the green Skittle, it brings up their information, Deborah Johnson. So you go knock on the door. "Hey, are you Deborah Johnson?" "I am." "Well, I'm Jake with Natura Pest Control. I'm your pest control guy." "Oh, okay, cool. I'm just checking in. How are things going? How's the service looking for you? Is there anything that I can do for you right now?"
Yes.
"No, you guys are awesome." "Okay, great. Have you given us a 5-star review?" Yeah, I did." "Okay, excellent. Well, when I leave or whatever, can you update it?" Whatever. And then the last thing you say is, "Well, I'm going to be working in the neighborhood today. I'm trying to build up my service route, so we're servicing more of your neighbors here. It'll improve the pest control quality and improve the neighborhood. Do you mind if I use you as a reference to some of your neighbors?" And 99.99% of the time, Mrs. Johnson is going to say, "Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love you guys.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's all good.
It's all good."
Yep.
And if you want to go a step further, you could even say, "Excellent. Well, who should I go talk to first?"
Yes.
Right? And she'll say, "Oh, well, go talk to Sandy across the street. She had ants in her kitchen," right?
Yep.
So that'll happen sometimes. At the very least, you've just talked to her. You've just established a rapport with her. You're trying to pump her for referrals, and that's the smart way. So when you go and knock on the next door neighbor's house and you say, "Hey, I just want to let you know, I just talked to Sandy next door. We've been servicing her house for 2 or 3 years. She loves us. I was just checking in. So I'm just stopping by to whatever." Then you continue with your pitch, right?
Yep.
So that's the bandwagoning aspect.
Yes. And before we move even closer into the process, I want to rewind just for a second and go back to the qualifying aspect of it. Because I used to write this down on the whiteboard during correlation with our door guys. And I'd say, okay, you come across one of the spouse, right? And typically it's
Spice.
the wife. The spices.
Yeah.
The
What's
spices.
this spice?
Yeah. The singular spouse.
More than one mouse is mice.
Spice. There you go. You come across the spice. So
You're knocking on the doors on all of the heis.
exactly. So I used to ask them, I'd say, "Hey, tell me what percentage of decision-making authority that person has. Like, what do you think, right? When you talk to somebody and you're kind of going through the initial process, just think in your mind, what percentage does this person have?" And I'd say if they have 20%, like 25% or less, then what I want you to do is they're going to say something like, "Oh, hey, yeah, I don't really take care of that. My husband does. I don't have no idea, whatever." If that's the case, then dude, mark that as a callback. Like, just come back some other time and just, "Hey, when do you think your husband's gonna be home? I'd love to catch him and we can talk about this." "Oh, he's coming home around 6. Perfect. I'll just swing back by and check in with him. What's his name? Oh, Dan. Perfect. Thank you so much." Right?
Yep.
And just zip out of there. There's no reason for you to dive into your pitch if that person you're talking to has 25% or less of the decision-making authority. Right?
Yeah.
Between 25 and 50% is kind of a interesting place.
Yep.
Because you can prime them a little bit, ask some additional questions. "Hey, what pest activity do you have?" Some other stuff, whatever, right? But I'm not going to close that customer.
No.
Why? Because they still have 50% or less of the decision-making ability. Between 50 to 75%, I'm like, you know what, like this could be good. I'm gonna kind of work through this a little bit, see how far I can get. But I'm probably planning on still coming back, even if I can get kind of a commitment, a loose commitment, to review the whole situation with the other spouse. Because I don't want that spouse that could have up to 50% of the decision-making ability kiboshing my sale.
Exactly.
Right? Now, if the person I'm talking to, if I have a really good vibe, like, dude, you've got 75 to 100% of the decision-making ability here, I'm just going to get the sale and go.
And sometimes the original concern or whatever that they throw out, well, I'm not the decision maker. If you get the vibe that they are, then usually by the time you get to that point, they're like, okay, yeah, let's just do this. My husband doesn't care. I'm the one that actually makes the decisions here. So.
Yeah, and you've got other options too. Like if you're in that realm where it's like, hey, you're 50 to 75% and things are really going well, and you say, hey, when's your husband going to be home? And they're like, oh, he gets home around 8 or whatever. And you're like, okay, well, that's kind of past my callback time maybe, or whatever the situation is. He doesn't come home until the weekend. And it's like, hey, how about, is he available by phone? Would you happen to give him a call right now? We can put him on speaker and just kind of get his blessing on this real quick. Great, right? Do that. So you just have to understand that during the qualifying process, there are different avenues that you're going to take, right? Think about it as like a flow chart. If the person fits into this category, this is the action I'm going to take. If not, then this is the action I'm going to take. Newbies run into the problem all the time of, okay, just got to get a signed contract, just got to set the appointment. It's like, bro, I promise. Like,
slow down.
Yeah, if you do it with the wrong person at the wrong time, like you're just wasting your time, like Dan's talking about here. Like, hey, how do you improve your go through rate? Right. So anyway, next part of the process.
Okay, so then I'm gonna add on to that too here. So here's what I always train my guys to, and this is what I always did too. I figured that I break my time up into sections. Okay, so I want to make my first sale within the first hour of being on the doors. Okay?
Love it.
And then I want to make at least 1 or 2 more sales. And there are guys out there. I mean, like my guy Josh Zuniga, right? He's gonna hear this and go,
"I've got 5 sales by then. What are you talking about?"
So this is for the average sales guy, right? I mean, my best summer ever, I serviced 525 accounts, and I sold. Well, I had like 650 signed contracts or something like that.
And we're talking, on average, we're talking like the onesies to threesies a day kind of guys, or even the 2 to 4s kind of guys.
Yeah, we're talking like you're building your company, your average sales guy, right? So break your day into sections. So I want to make my first sale within the first hour. And then between then and 5:30 or 6 o'clock, I want to make 2 or 3 sales.
Love it.
Prime time is 5 o'clock until the sun goes down, right? And then from the sun being down until whenever, that's my callback time. So I'm not knocking fresh doors after dark, but I'm hitting my callbacks. So if I meet someone on the door, and it's one of the spice, but not both spice, then I'll say, it sounds like this is a decision that you guys make together. Why don't I do this? I don't knock any new doors after dark. So why don't you come back after dark? Is 8 o'clock okay for you? Oh yeah, totally. That's fine.
Perfect.
Okay, great. And then I do this. Okay, everybody paying attention. Okay, get out your notepad and your pen. Then I do this. I say, okay, so here, let me just prep you. Okay, first of all, please, will you do me a favor? And then they'll always say yes, because when you ask someone to do you a favor, no one is ever going to say no, right? So will you do me a favor? When your husband comes home, please don't say, hey, some guy came by, or a really nice guy from the pest control company came by. Because as a husband, what are you thinking? I'm going to kick this nice guy's ass. Who is this nice guy coming to my house when my wife was home and blah, 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 right?
He sat at my counter and ate my food and drank my milk.
Right, exactly. He pissed on my hydrant, So it's like guys are territorial. So the first thing you say is, hey, just please don't say nice guy. Okay, don't do that. Here's what I want you to say. I want you to say, hey, a representative from Natura Pest Control came by. They service the Johnsons down the street, right? And I'm really interested because I think it's a great value and he's got a good offer. He's going to come back by after 8 o'clock and he just needs like 15 minutes.
Love it. Dude.
That's what you say. And then
simple
you say,
and easy.
You say, can you do that for me, please? And she'll say yes, of course, right?
Love it.
And then the second thing I say is this, and please, ma'am, whatever her name is, please do not try to give him the details or sell him on the service, because you probably suck at selling pest control. And that's what I do for a living. So let me handle the details, right? And I say those exact words. And always gets a chuckle. And they're always like, yeah, I probably, what you're doing looks like it's hard. I probably would suck at selling pest control. And then you set the appointment.
Yep.
Okay, I'll be back between 8 or 8:30. I do have other appointments. I'm pretty busy today. And then when the sun goes down, you're not knocking fresh doors and pissing off the neighborhood, because everybody has a neighborhood group stream. Who's this fetcher knocking on my door? It's after dark, right?
Yep.
So you set your callbacks for that time. And then when the sun goes down, you stop knocking fresh doors and you go and you hit your callbacks.
Yes.
That's how you go from selling 3 solid accounts today to 6 or 7 solid accounts today.
Yes.
Most days that we know that when I'm selling pest control, most days I only make half of my sales before the sun goes down. And I'll make the other half of my sales or more in callbacks after the sun goes down.
Yes.
So that's the big thing. And I hope that anybody who's trying to sell door to door, take that to heart, because that's how you go from selling soft sales to closing sales.
We're going to take a quick moment to highlight one of the premier sponsors of the BugBucks Plus platform. Are you running a pest control business and worried about missing sales opportunities? Let's talk about Same Day AI, the game-changing virtual sales agent designed specifically for the pest control industry. This innovative tool uses advanced artificial intelligence to ensure no potential customer slips through the cracks. What's really impressive about Same Day AI is how it integrates seamlessly with field routes and other top CRMs. It doesn't just quote, it schedules new customers directly onto your routes, optimizing your workload without missing a beat. I've seen it in action and it is truly a sight to behold. The efficiency is incredible. Bookings go up and stress goes down. For any pest control business looking to enhance their sales strategy and boost customer engagement, Same Day AI is your answer. Transform your approach and elevate your service with the efficiency that only AI can provide. Trust me, you'll see the difference. Visit GoSameDay.com to learn more and start revolutionizing your business today. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is you want to make sure that you have the best opportunity to actually get the decisions from who the decision maker is. Right.
Yep.
And what's funny is that a lot of guys will just, like, they set up their callbacks. It's like an ethereal thing.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, hey, I'm super sorry. Whatever, husband isn't here right now. I'll just check back later.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Super vague, super lame.
Yeah.
Dude, leave that doorstep with one of two things. You either sold the sale, like you have an appointment for the technician to come, or the other thing that you've sold is an appointment for a callback.
Yep.
You've set a
We're
time.
talking about soft sales here.
Yes.
Right? Not every door, but soft sales.
Not every door, right? So it's like that's when you talk to somebody who's qualified, you want one of two things. You're either talking to somebody who can make the decision, in which case you're getting a sale, or you're talking to somebody who can't necessarily make the decision, in which case you're getting an appointment, right? A callback appointment.
Yep.
And then you're coming back. Those people are invested, right? They've set up a time for you to come back and talk to them, and you are expected to be there. That's the other annoying thing, right?
Yeah.
You come back on a callback, you knock on someone's door, the guy answers because he's home now, right? And he's like, hey, whatever, like, who are you, right? And he has no idea who you are because his wife didn't tell him, because you didn't tell the wife, you didn't coach anything, right? You didn't set an appointment. And then the first thing out of your mouth, which you think is a good thing, which isn't, is, oh, hey, I was actually here earlier talking to your wife, unbeknownst to you.
Right.
And I just wanted to come back here after the sun went down.
I heard a guy I was
training.
I was training a guy, and he actually said these words, hey, I was with your wife earlier today. And I'm like, holy crap. And you can see I actually saw the dude's pupils dilate or constrict.
Hey,
right?
I was looking at the ants in your guys' master bedroom earlier.
Yeah, so don't do that. And then, there's 2 other things you got to get. Get his name and her name, and the phone numbers.
Yes.
Because when you knock on the door and Steve answers, oh, hey, you must be Steve. Hey, I'm Jake. I was by and I spoke with Sandy earlier, right? Yeah. So that's bandwagoning.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's bandwagoning and setting appointments.
Yep.
The second thing is banter, right? And banter really is you're just establishing a rapport with the customer, right?
Yep.
Because people aren't going to buy what you have to sell; they're going to buy you. So whenever somebody makes a purchasing decision, especially from a door-to-door rep, even if they have a dire need for what you're selling, if you don't have a good rapport with them, then they're not going to buy from you. And even if they do, it's not going to be sticky, right?
Yes.
So you've got to build that rapport so that they are buying you. You're selling yourself. And so there's lots of ways to do that. You know, hey, are these your peonies here in the front yard? I love flowers. I just planted a garden. Like, is this your handiwork? Oh yeah, I love this. All right. And I'll also say this: the connection that you make with that customer is made within the first 4 seconds.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
It's within the first 4 seconds. It's something that can't be taught. It's something that's learned from hundreds of interactions of someone opening the door and you not connecting with them, right?
Yep.
So it's a smile, hi, you know, or some guys don't smile. They say, oh, you know, I'm whatever it is that works for you. I'm a smile and say hi guy, and
Same.
it works
Yeah.
for me, right? So so that's all it is. Just banter, talk about whatever.
Yeah, well, it's like, you know, it's being a conversationalist, understanding how to ask good questions, and being authentic in your own skin. You know, a lot of people when they go out door to door in the first few weeks, they give off a really weird vibe because they don't believe in what they're doing, they don't believe in what they're selling, and it just comes out of them ethereally, right?
It's like an attack pheromone or something. They
you know, and they end up saying weird stuff they don't really understand that they're saying.
Yeah.
But connecting with that person, like, you want to make sure that they can trust you within that first 5 to 10 seconds,
Absolutely.
right? Can I trust this person? Is what he's saying legitimate? You know, and some of those bandwagoning approaches that we talked about help, right? Even if I was coming back to a door, like that husband right at home, the callback appointment, I might actually lead with, hey, oh yeah, you must be Steve. Hey, I'm Eric with Natura Pest Control. You know, I take care of the, you know, Sue and Jim Johnson just down the street. I swung by earlier, you know, introduced myself to your wife. She told me you'd be home around 8. You know,
another firecracker of a appointment situation. Ask what he does for work.
Oh yeah,
right. And so then, and you don't open. Hey, you must be Steve. I heard you're a mechanical engineer or whatever. He's like, what the, you know. But as you're building that rapport, you work it in the conversation. Hey, your wife mentioned that you're a software engineer. Like, who you like? That sounds pretty cool. What do you do? Everybody loves talking about themselves, right? So if you're not incorporating these things into your selling approach, you're kind of missing the mark, and you're missing big opportunities, because sales is relationships. That's all it is.
Yeah,
sales
100%.
is relationships.
Yeah, so bantering, killer way to do it. Don't overdo it. Don't ask questions. Don't be too weird.
Feel the moment, right?
You know?
Because if it gets to a point where you're just talking about the flowers, and there's that moment, like the moment where they should never be the one to bring it back around to pest control. Don't ever. You, as the guy knocking on their door, it is your job to bring it back to pest control. So you'll feel that moment, and when you feel that moment, you say, "Hey, you know what? Thanks for showing me that. I'll just be real quick."
Yep.
That's the key word. Hey, I'll just be real quick. You don't have to be real quick.
Hey, you know what? I'll let you get back to your day real fast. Yada yada yada.
Right? I always say, "Hey, I'll be real quick."
Yep.
And then that says, okay, well, he's going to be real quick. I can put my guard down.
Yep.
And then you take your freaking time. You don't have to be real quick, right?
Exactly.
But they think you're being real quick and whatever. So that's banter. Figure it out, right? Everybody knows how to banter. And then the next thing, E, that's enter. So we've got qualify, bandwagon, banter, and enter. And entering is a very crucial step in redefining that relationship, because while you're standing on their door and they're standing inside their house and you're standing across from them on the doorstep, there's a relationship that exists here that is very much there's a barrier in your relationship, and that barrier is the door frame.
Yep.
So in order to break the barrier of person who lives in this house and guy standing on their doorstep trying to sell them something, what you need is for them to see you as a real person. So you need to enter. And really what we're saying is break that barrier. Get them out of the house and get yourself off of the doorstep.
Yep.
And guys have ways of doing this. They're kind of sneaky, where they'll say, "Oh yeah, I saw this," and then they'll kind of walk away towards the garage, and it's like, "Oh yeah, you've got them on an invisible leash, and if you just walk out, they're going to naturally follow you." That's bullcrap. All right. So maybe some guys do that. Right?
What's funny is watching guys where they do that and the customer doesn't go anywhere and they just kind of wander off away from the conversation.
Yeah. And
or it's like,
you just lost that. Yeah,
you start the conversation from 10 feet away. You're like, hey, to try to get them off the doorstep, But I love what you're saying about redefining the relationship, because psychologically speaking, once you're in the same space, like they come out into the yard with you, you go into the house with them or whatever. In the back of their mind, they're thinking, I do trust this guy because I let him in, right? Sometimes actions end up speaking to beliefs. It's not always beliefs that end up coming before actions, right? So, if you say something like, hey, yeah, like I've heard everyone's been dealing with ants, where you guys been seeing them at? And they say, oh, I actually think it's on the back patio. And you say, hey, well, let's go take a look real quick, and I'm going to tell you what you guys are dealing with, right? And then, you maybe brush off your feet. Hey, would you rather I go through the house, or should I go around back to the fence?
You assume. Here's the thing. You assume. And this is what I used to do with the sales guys. I would write assume on the whiteboard or the black, whatever, the whiteboard. And then I would turn the two S's into dollar signs.
Yes, dude.
And the saying was, when you assume, you make big ass money for you and me.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You got to make a big assumption. So when you say, hey, let's go take a look, you're not asking them. You're not saying, oh, can I go take a look? Because that feels weird and they're not going to trust you. But if you've qualified correctly and you've bandwagoned correctly and you've bantered correctly, then by the time you say, hey, let's go take a look, there should be a level of rapport that's already there.
A level of trust.
So you say, okay, well, let's go take a look. And if they're saying, hey, they're inside the kitchen, then say, oh, let's just go take a look real quick. And you start wiping your feet on the doormat, and they'll, like 90% of the time, they step